Does anyone remember the show Wander Over Yonder? It was a cartoon that aired on the Disney Channel and eventually Disney XD. It was about a furry creature named Wander who was voiced by comedian Jack McBrayer. He and his friend Sylvia would go on crazy adventures in the far reaches of the galaxy. The show only lasted 2 seasons with 42 episodes, and people think it was canceled too soon. As for me, I watch the show from time to time, and I remember laughing and letting go of our current problems. With the stuff happening in the world like hate, racism, sexism, and disasters, it's nice to turn off my brain and enter an escape. But what you didn't know is there is a lost episode. During the making of the second season, Disney declined to order another season, and the crew decided that if they were going to end this show, they were going to end it with a bang. And so they tried, and titled the final episode, The Sadness. Then, when they screened it to Disney, they were shocked and absolutely devastated watching the episode. So much so that one of the people at the screening fell into a deep depression. And who knows where he's at now. I hope he's still alive. So Disney told the crew to cheer the frick up and make something better. Then they redid the finale as the end of the galaxy. But I saw this episode, and God, how I wish I didn't. I am a programmer for a website called Cancelled.com, which is a website for canceled content which could be incomplete or finished fully. I was working on the site at 10 o'clock at night, and so I decided to look at the new content page, which gets updated frequently. When I saw the page, I saw there was the episode in an MP4 file, which meant it was either from a flash drive or a private DVD. Maybe it was a crew member, who knows? So being someone who helps with the website, I decided to see what the content of this file was. So I decided to get a late night snack before I watched. I grabbed some Hostess cupcakes from the cupboard and sat back down on my couch and clicked play. The episode began with the Disney XD Originals logo, which lasted 20 seconds longer than it should. And then the episode began, and instead of the chipper upbeat theme song, there was a sad orchestral tune playing that sounded like the song My Immortal by Evanescence. And instead of the happy Wander walking through different locations, it was instead Wander having his head down, walking slowly as the backgrounds looked dreary and rainy. And when Sylvia appeared, she looked the same with the determined look. But Wander didn't change. He still looked really sad, like I was expecting him to start crying, but he didn't. And it just cuts after that to the logo, and I was confused, but I pressed on. The episode began with a planet that was in the shape of a tear with water covering the entire planet, except for an island in the middle, which is where we zoom in. We see Wander sleeping in his hat, and then he wakes up looking happy as usual. Oh, what a beautiful day! He then ran at cartoon speed and woke Sylvia. I see you're up and going this morning. Sylvia got up and stretched. So what are we going to do today? Are we going to help a friend, save a planet, or go see our buddy hater? He was very hyper, which made me think, why was this episode called The Sadness? I don't know, Wander, but I know we won't get into trouble today, will we? Wander nodded his head no. Alright then, let's head into town. Wander jumped on Sylvia's saddle and they rode like the wind. They eventually arrived at town, and Wander looks around and jumps off Sylvia and sees someone who is trying to get his car working. So being the helpful fellow he is, he walked over to him and asked, "Say, do you need any help with that?" But instead of saying sure, he looked really angry, like his face was as red as a tomato, and then he did something unexpected.
No, I don't need any help from you! So why don't you go back to where you came from, you stupid jerk?
He then continued to work on his car, and Wander looked shell-shocked. His mouth was wide open in stunned form, and his smile went down and turned into a frown. He walked back to Sylvia as Sylvia was looking at something, and then Wander goes to her. "Sylvia?" he said softly. Sylvia turned around and saw him, with his eyes filled with tears, as Wander hugged Sylvia while crying. "Wander? What's wrong?" "I was trying to help that guy and he yelled at me," he sobs as he hugs her tight. She then walks to the guy and asks him why he was being a jerk to him when he was trying to help. "We don't need any help anymore." He was a little calmer than he was when he yelled at Wander. It then cuts to a montage of people hating each other, raging, yelling at each other, not wanting help, and telling Wander to screw off. As it went on, it got louder and louder. At first I thought it was my speakers acting up, but no, this is how it was intended. It got so loud that I thought my ears were going to bleed. After that, Wander looks disheveled and weak, as his eyes were filled with tears. Sylvia tries to cheer him up by making him play his banjo, but sadly, she couldn't cheer him up. And then Lord Hater's ship came up and Lord Hater came out.
"Oh, yes, there he is. Let's get him, papers."
"Right, sir." They then took Wander, and he didn't fuss as Sylvia tries to stop him. "Wander, don't let them take you away! Do whatever, please!" He didn't listen, and then they entered the ship. Sylvia jumps onto the ship as it rides away and pries the door open, and went in, as Wander was in chains, and Lord Hater is talking to him about how he's going to kill him.
"I finally got you, and now I will end you once and for all."
Sylvia runs to Wander, but is captured by the watchdogs. No matter how much she fought, she couldn't escape.
"Don't kill Yonder!" "Oh, I won't harm him." "Oh, yeah, I will." "Hater, you're a monster!"
Hater gets his blaster ready and asks Wander,
"What are you going to do, orange guy? How are you going to squirm your way out of this one?"
Then Wander said something I never thought in my life he would say. "Do it." Everyone looked shocked as he said those two words.
"Wander, are you crazy?"
No, I'm not. After everything I've seen over these days, I don't think anyone wants help or happiness. They just don't want me anymore.
"No, Wander, we need you! We all need you!"
No, you don't. You don't need me anymore. This sounded nothing like Wander would say. And the actor, Jack, sounded so serious. It was like as if he was given a trial in a court or something. Do it. He sounded more serious now. Hater thought for a moment, but then he shot him. He blew back with his chains as his hat flew off of his head. The camera then followed the hat floating gently to the ground and finally landed as it's torn up. And then Sylvia screamed, "Wander!" as the screen cut to black. The credits started to roll, and instead of the animatic during the credits, we got plain white text that says, "Hate trumps love." And then after the credits, the video ended. I was so shocked at what I watched that after 5 minutes of doing nothing, I looked at the clock and saw it was 11 o'clock p.m. and decided to go to bed. I couldn't sleep that night as I thought about what I've said over the years. Saying I hate you to my parents for the first time. Being a jerk in school or not helping a bullying situation. I just laid there, thinking. The next morning I woke up and went to get a breakfast of toast. And then I turned on the TV and watched the morning news. And one of the stories was a 14-year-old girl committing suicide. And I started to cry as I realized nothing was ever going to get better. The sadness has changed my view of the world. We are so tangled up with hate that I cry myself to sleep some nights. So I hope that one day we can change. But I don't know if that will ever happen.